Hey everybody, welcome to A World Awakening. I am Rupert, I'm not Andrea Perron. Andrea is taking a little bit of time away from this show this week to be with family, so she's asked me to take over for her. I've been on this show several times before, so I'm sure a lot of you will recognize me. In case you don't recognize me or know who I am a space scientist. I am a spiritual advisor, a paranormal researcher. I am also an alien contact specialist. So I have quite a lot in common with Andrea. And also Laura here today, Laura Walker, welcome to the show. You also have a lot in common with me and Andrea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's nice to be here. Thank you very much. I'm honored.
Well, fantastic. Now, the title of today's show is Life After Death. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to give a scientist's perspective, a space scientist's perspective on the subject of life after death. I'm going to look at a lot of evidence that has come to me in the course of my life, both from other people and from my own experiences. And I am going to take a logical approach at analyzing the information that's out there and comparing it with known science. And I'm going to try and give our audience members today a logical look at the afterlife, and hopefully give people an answer to the question, is there life after death? And maybe what happens after we die, and also how. What are spirits made out of? Where are spirits? All that sort of stuff. Now, also in today's episode, I am going to be talking to Laura about a lot of her experiences, because Laura is, well, would you describe yourself as psychic or spiritually perceptive? How do you describe your abilities?
I am now, honestly, I can actually say I'm psychic. I have these abilities that I've had all my life, but never quite understood them. And actually, since I got connected with Andrea's show, World Awakening and Soul School Soulgen, as well as your shows, Galactic Wisdom, I've been doing this with the groups for about a year, and I have expanded in my gifts. And I've learned that I can do a lot more than I never could have imagined. Yes.
Fantastic.
It's incredible.
And you attend my regular meetings where we get together with groups of people online, and we meditate and we astrally project to different beings that are out there, and we view them, we remote view them, and we remotely communicate with them.
Yes, yes. And it is incredible to do that. It's great.
Now, I would like to ask you about some of your experiences doing that before we get into the life after death stuff. Now, we do have some images, hopefully, that will be coming up a little bit later that we can show of some of your perceptions, some of your artwork of some of your perceptions. But the last meeting that we were in together was a remote viewing of the Galactic Council. Now, a few months ago, I started to get members of my groups contacting me saying, you know what, I'm having these beings communicating with me psychically, telling me, Rupert, that you have a seat on a Galactic Council.
Yes.
And I was interested in that, obviously, because I wasn't aware that I had a seat on any council. And so we started as a group of remote viewers to astrally project to this galactic council to try and work out what was going on. And over the course of several months, we've been going back there almost on a weekly basis
Yes.
and just having a little look around in their inner chamber, I think you could probably call it, and to try and first of all learn about the beings that are there. And then we're moving into the next stage right now, trying to build up a dialogue with them where we can really build a constructive relationship, where we can try and figure out times and places where we can meet, like in person, where we can try and problem solve some of the issues on this planet. So, Laura, I would be interested for you, just in your own time, in your own words, and take as long as you want. I have my shaker here ready, but
OMG.
we- we've got 2 hours, so I'm probably not going to be shaking you to stop talking anytime soon. Go ahead and tell us in your own time and in your own words, what is it like to remote view to that location? What does that location look like? What does the space look like? What does the council look like?
Okay. It's amazing to remote view. You are taking your conscious right from, it's like you're astral projecting from your body. Your spirit is moving with a group, and we're guided through your meditation to this particular destination. And as you're going through this process, you begin to visualize what we're seeing, descriptive of going through the Caritha, as you have described. It is honestly, I've seen it, it's there. Going into deep, like further out into the universe, to where there's like, you can almost hear sounds. Images begin to actually form in your mind. And when you reach the destination, you begin to start asking these questions. And at first, for me, I'm like, is this me? Is this something I'm thinking? Because I'm going to be honest, I'm skeptical first, because not everything is real. Not everything is what you may think it is. Okay. I need to have some kind of tangible proof or evidence, just to be able to go, okay, oh, okay, yeah, that happened. And that's the unique thing about this. The group, when we do remote viewing, we haven't talked. We really haven't met. We're online. So there is no communication amongst the individuals participating in the group. The only person we're really listening to is you, who is making the guide. Mm-hmm. As we are looking around, we start receiving like images. Sometimes the image that comes in is just planted, like a flash bulb, like a camera's going off, and then there's this picture that's there. And the picture that's in my mind is so like, it's prominent, it's right there. I can't get it out of my head. That is evidence for me that is real. Yeah. That is an evidence for me. The other thing is, I'll even hear just singular words. Sometimes I'll even hear sounds like gruffling, clicking noises. Like last night, I heard water running, which was odd to me, but there was some significance to it. Colors. I see orbs. Actually, almost now, every time we do the Galactic Wisdom remote viewing, as we're going through space, an orb-like, purple orb-like, it's an orb. It shows up and it's moving, and it's like it's guiding me. Mm. And others have confirmed that too. And that's what I'm getting to. When we come back from remote viewing, this is where it's the granddaddy of all, okay? Because we write down or we draw what we see, what we hear, what we've experienced, And we all get to share, if we want to, get to share that. And for me, I get blown away because I'm like, oh my God. Well, I thought I was a little, boop, 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 I'm sorry, I'm having light technical difficulties here where I'm at.
That doesn't surprise me.
So I don't mean to be in the dark, but I'm trying to use my phone for some light. But there's confirmation in what the remote viewing is taking place. And that is the granddaddy for me, because I think the first time I ever did the remote viewing with you, I'll never forget it. It was so cold outside, and I decided I was going to go outside. It was my first time ever doing it in a group. It was like 21 degrees outside. I bundled up, and I had the biggest experience of my life. And I saw what looked like a black hole forming. An entity showed me, pointed. And it was like all the stars were being eaten, and then this dark hole expanded with this ring of looked like purplish, bluish, I don't know, it's not smoke, but energy.
Plasma.
Yeah, plasma, energy. And 9 people, I believe it was the number you told me. It was a total of 9 people saw the same thing. Now that says something. That's evidence.
So I'm just going to sort of solidify what you're saying there. When we go and we astrally project to a place, we might have a target location in mind, but nobody really knows what we're going to see there.
Right.
And I do my best to make sure that I don't, during the meditation, lead people into thinking we're seeing this or we're seeing that. And so people are having these perceptions on what's there. And then when the astral projection is over, then we ask, well, what did people perceive? And, if one person perceives something, let's say, I don't know, some kind of a potato being, then we can sort of go, okay, well, that's interesting. But who knows? If it's just imagination, could just be imagination. But if 9 people all see a potato being, well, we've got to take a look at that and think, what does that mean? Is a potato beings real? Now, we have not seen potato beings yet, have we? So,
no, thank goodness.
But on that one meeting, 9 people all saw what appeared to be some kind of a portal or swirling black hole, wormhole type thing. And when we go and we connect with the Galactic Council, then it's not that we disregard the things that just 1 or 2 people see, but we're focusing in on those things that 5 people see. Right. So it's like yesterday, lots of people saw Arcturians.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we haven't generally seen a lot of Arcturians in the Galactic Council up until that point. So the fact that 5 people all were seeing Arcturians yesterday, that meant something. And then people drawing the pictures and sending the pictures in, and we're comparing the pictures and they match up. Yeah. So Laura, tell me about some of the beings that you have seen in the Galactic Council.
I have seen grays. I've seen tall grays. I have seen, and I don't know what, I guess species, this type of entity is. It's short, very short, and they glow. They literally are illuminated. There's really, you can't even really tell about any features. And they seem to be going like they're playful in a sense. I'm not sure what they are. I've also seen a reptilian. I've seen a couple of those, and I've seen an Arcturian and a bird-like being. It looks like the birds in the Egyptian in Egypt. What what are they called? I can't.
The hieroglyphics, is it? Or
Hieroglyphics. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. And also like sphinx, like almost dog-like, but sphinx-like. And it looks like a lion, like a lyran, but more has human features too, to that.
Yeah.
And then cat, like a tiger-like cat, but with stripes here, very pointy ears, kind of like very protruding eyes. The time I saw that the lion and that cat were actually together. Oh my, there's just so many things.
The
Okay, this is
the
crazy.
insectoids that we're seeing.
Yeah. I even saw, a dragon. It looked like a dragon. And ant beings, praymantis beings. It's been an incredible journey.
Yeah.
And to be a part of this, it is mind-blowing. Again, I am skeptical at times with this because I do question myself, and I do practice not researching, not trying to find
Yeah.
what they look like, because I want to be a blank sheet of paper basically and go there with totally no expectations whatsoever. And so I feel like I have a better ability to get to the truth that way, because then I'm going to start second guessing myself if I start looking up stuff and researching things. But yes, these beings, I know exist. I don't believe. I know
Yeah.
they exist.
Awesome. And that distinction is very important to move from belief to knowledge. We
Yes.
can prove these things. You know, there's a lot of people out there who maybe have experiences just by themselves, and they're not sure if these experiences are real. Maybe it's imagination. Some people experience imagination and then believe that to be true. How do we arrive at knowledge? Well, what we have to do is find out ways that we can confirm what our perceptions are. And that is what we're doing in our group meetings, by verifying in very careful conditions that these things are real. I would just like to pause a second, and I'm just looking through some of the comments here. I would like to welcome some of the people. I don't have admin privileges here, so I can't put some of these messages up, but I want to say hi, Nikki. Hi, Shelley. Thank you for being here. Hi, Candice. Melissa, it's awesome to have you with us. Jonathan, we know a lot of these people. Brady, thank you for being here. I'm just scanning down. There's probably a few more people. Casey, Helen, Marie, awesome to have all of you with us.
My
And
weirdo friends.
everybody's sending happy messages and welcome and lots of hearts and things. Diana, thank you for being here, Diana. Amir, I don't think I know Amir, but thank you for being here. Karen, hey, I hope you're over your jet lag. Yeah, there's lots of people out there. Thank you so much, everybody. There's so many comments, I can't get through them all, but thank you everybody for being here and listening and watching. Can I ask you, Laura, why do you think we as a group are being given this access to the Galactic Council and also to a number of other beings that we've been connecting with?
Very good question. We are called to help Earth further wake up. All of us are capable to do this. We only use a certain percent of our brain. I believe it's 10%. So we are, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but we are evolving. So and they're helping us do this. And we're brave enough, the people that are coming forward to participate are brave enough and have an actual skill set to do this remote viewing. And the Galactic Council is willing and wanting us to come, and they want to assist us in learning to grow and to further awaken. And I not want to say the word we are leaders. We're not. We are going to show them how. We're more like sort of like teachers or assistants to showing how to communicate and how to open up our minds and learn how to accept and do and utilize the gifts that we all have.
Yeah. I would also say that a key part of what we're doing is moral, is based in love.
Yes.
One thing that Andrea likes to say is that the answer to every question is love. The answer to every problem is love. The answer to all of the world's problems is love. And so what we do as a group when we reach out to any beings is we base everything that we're doing on a foundation of universal peace, not just peace for the people we like, but we have a vision of the whole universe being peaceful, even if we don't like somebody.
Yeah.
We don't have to all like everybody. Well, we don't have to like anybody to wish peace upon them, to wish love upon them. And so we're doing all of this based on a foundation of peace, love, and happiness. And that might sound like an easy thing for people, for human beings to access, and temporarily it is, but there's really so much learning that humans need to do to really achieve universal peace, love, and happiness that I'm going to go out on a limb here and say most humans don't have that. Most humans, but a lot of humans are ready for that if they're just pointed in the right direction.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do with the assistance of the Galactic Council is to guide those people who wish to be guided towards universal peace, love, and happiness. And that's why I think we're having this success. And we do have people, many people, who come to our remote viewing sessions who don't really have much psychic ability, who don't really have much remote viewing skill, but they're joining us with this spiritual aura of peace, love, and happiness. And that is so powerful with what we're doing. Now, Bill is backstage and he's told me that he has some photos ready and lined up for us to see.
All
So
right.
I'm going to call upon some numbers here. Let's go with number 1 to start with. Thank you very much, Bill. Now, Laura, I was a little unsure in your email. Is this an image that you've created this image using AI? Is that a bit how you see the Galactic Council's vessel, or is that completely unrelated to what we're talking about right now?
That does not look like the Galactic Council vessel at all.
This is an image of a sighting you had in the past. Is that right?
Yes. I have tried to draw this image. This vessel is so complicated, so complex. I just could not get it down. I don't draw very well anyway, like a third grade drawer anyway, but I decided I was going to use AI. I try to stay away from that, but I gave its description. In 1979, I was at a family reunion in Kentucky, Long Fork, Kentucky, and I was about 14 years old. This was the time that okay, I've got my answer. We are not alone. This is not, everything in me was, what? It looked to me, the way I could describe it was an aircraft carrier. Like it had looked like an aircraft carrier. So when I put in the description, as close to the detail of it that I could, AI came up with that, and that image is as close, I mean, very close to what I saw that evening.
So you went outside one night, you looked into the sky, and that's what you saw.
My cousin and I, he was walking me back to my grandmother's house, and where she lived at was in a holler. And I don't know if everybody knows what a holler is, but it's one entrance in, one entrance out, and it is between two mountains. And as we were walking around the bend, there was a creek bed there. I could hear the creek, just the water flowing. Everything was just moving. All the crickets, because this is summer, all the crickets, all the bugs, we call them jar flies, they were going off. The wind was blowing. I could hear it. I could feel it. Just life all around me moving. And all of a sudden, everything stopped. I couldn't hear the water anymore. I didn't hear the bugs anymore. The wind even stopped blowing and moving. And I had the urge, both of my cousin and I had the urge, we started looking up. And when we looked up, coming over the mountain very slow, I'm talking like this. No sound, no propulsion, gray, metallic. It had a couple of lights on it, like a red and a like a bluish green light, but it was just it would strobe like that strobe, but it was on the sides of it. And it just started going over our heads. And I don't remember. I don't know if I lost time. The next thing I remember is seeing it going to the opposite side, leaving where I saw the tail end of the craft past the mountain. It still never made a sound. It had no propulsion. It was, I don't see how anything the size of an aircraft carrier could ever possibly fly. And in 1979, I don't think we had any type of ability to do something like that. But as soon as it went over that mountain, the wind started blowing, the crickets started singing, and the water started moving, everything. I don't know if that was shock for my just seeing something like that and everything got shot off because of adrenaline, or that was a part of the event that took place. Well, let me tell you, me and my cousin, we hauled ass right across a freshly plowed field. And you know what it's like going across big chunks of dirt that's hardened from the summer, and you're like, we're running. And we about killed each other trying to get inside the door. We were literally fighting, and even the family who was all around the table were like, what is going on? Calm down, calm down. But we told them what happened, and everybody went outside. Now, there was not a single cloud in the sky, not a single cloud. You could see every star. It was just a beautiful night. And we all went out, we looked up, of course, nothing. But that was the only time I have ever had an encounter like that up close. I've not, that I can recall now, have had one since then. But it has changed, that night changed my life.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone thinks about that. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend nobody. But when you experience something of the nature of that, the size of that, it changes you. I can't express that anymore. It changes you.
That is a major sighting. And the fact that you feel like you might have missing time is also significant. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you are now high-level remote viewer in my group that is reaching out to the Galactic Council. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that you're here on this show. You know, you have a connection with these beings. You're an important player on the side of love and light and goodness, and that, I think, is why you're here. So, wow, fantastic experience.
Yes.
Bill, would you mind putting up the second picture for us, if you're there?
Oh,
Okay, well, Laura, could you explain what this is, please?
okay. So last night on the group, we did our remote viewing for the Galactic Council, and you did request if we could draw two pictures. One would be of the Arcturians that we have done, and the other would be the Galactic Chamber. This is what I call it. This is what I see when I enter the chamber. I did the best I could to depict it. It doesn't have any like straight edges, no straight, really straight lines or any edges.
So this is a plan we're seeing of the chamber from above.
From above, yes, sir.
And which side, which place in here, where's the entrance? Where do we walk in?
Okay, so you would come in on the left of the screen.
Okay.
Where you'll actually see there's two side openings.
Yep.
Now, the one on the right of the screen, I have been through that corridor. That's a corridor. It's like a wall. I can't explain. It's hard to explain, but there's another room
right
over there. Now, the what looks like to be an hourglass with dots and the chairs around, those are chairs with the circles. The small circles are all chairs. They're all seating. That's a console of some type. I don't know what that's for. And there are other consoles as well, there where you see the dots inside the oval, like circles on the edges here. Those are also type of consoles that I see.
When you say console, you mean some kind of, it's like Star Trek Next Generation, where they have something sticking up, like with buttons on, that sort of thing?
Yes, with buttons, and like it has every now and then I'll see flashes. That's what those dots represent, like little light flashes. I know that they're used for something. What I don't know. In the center is the table. The table is oval. It does not have legs. It hovers. And around it are seatings at this table. And in above on each side are also seating as well for observations.
Right.
On the outskirts here, where it looks like from the console on the bottom of the screen, where it looks like half ovals there, those are actually like window display of part of that where you can look out as we travel, like a view window of space.
Oh,
yes, it's like a console. Sometimes they're viewable and sometimes they're not, and the last night they looked like that to me.
Okay. So when we go in there, am I right that you see me going down to the middle part and sitting at the table?
Yes, you sit at the edge of the table.
Okay. And everybody else goes around the outsides, and your energy helps, and you view from the outside. And sometimes there's other beings in the outside areas looking down, like the lion-like beings, the Lyrans.
Yes, yes. All sorts of beings. Some of which I can't seem to receive. I've seen some orbs, light that is actually in a seat. Orbs in the seat. Lyrans, reptilians, grays, tall whites.
And
all kinds.
let's put up some of your pictures. Maybe Bill, if you wouldn't mind starting with 3. And
Oh, yes.
these are ant-like beings. This is a picture that you have drawn. We're calling them antions.
Yes.
But their language is more like clicking sounds. Is that?
Yes. It's like, I'm trying, but yeah,
Okay.
it's click, 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 and it's odd sounds.
Yeah, and we've also connected with these Antian beings in the San Luis Valley in Colorado. They live in a mountain there. And yes, they're protected by dragon-like beings there also. So it's interesting that you've seen a dragon-like being. Bill, would you mind bringing up the image number 4?
Oh, yes.
And this is a praying mantis being. Do you only see this being in the Galactic Council, or have you seen this being elsewhere in our remote viewings, Laura?
When I first started doing remote viewing, this being came up also with the ant-like being. I didn't start seeing this being until later on when we remote viewed, and I believe this was on March. Yeah, I have the date. I try to mark the dates on here. March 14th. This was with the Galactic Council, and that I still could not get what I was seeing to get him correct. Okay, so this is the best that I could do from what I'm seeing. Now, when I draw these pictures, it's funny. When I'm not getting it right, it's as though I'm being told, no, you are not getting it right. You need to redo that. And I can't get it. I cannot seem to stop drawing until I get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened with just about every of the reptilian. He hated the first drawing. He said, "You will not. you are not. No, yeah."
Can we put up image 5, please, Bill, of the reptilian? There's your image of the reptilian. He didn't like your first picture?
Oh, no. He did not like it at all. He was like, "No, you will not." And I said, "Okay." Well, then I asked, "Will you help me?" And that's what I came up with. If you can look closely, I tried to make sure that he's scale-like.
Mm-hmm.
And his texture, and it's odd. It's like luminescent. It's like sometimes it's a little off of green and then a little bit of that, just like what a lizard has on the skin, or a snake, that reflective texture that a snake would have.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what the skin was like of this particular being. Now, this is another reptilian that I've seen. The one that I saw in my first remote viewing, much more aggressive. His teeth were actually coming out of his mouth, and he was very, but he was there to help. That was what I heard. I'm here to help.
Yeah. And this is interesting because a lot of people have a negative opinion about some of these beings, especially the reptilians. But I know a lot of people have had positive experiences with the reptilians, and we have reached out to the Galactic Council. Well, we have connected with the Galactic Council in peace, love, and happiness, with an open mind for who we will find there. And these reptilians have a presence in the Galactic Council, and they certainly look scary. I describe them as like human-like with a velociraptor head. I mean, he's not going to be a bit scared of that sort of image, but actually they like it when we are friendly to them, and they are on the Galactic Council. They are participating in diplomatic relations with the other species. Now, your images 6 and 7. May we see 6 first of all?
Oh, yes.
Which being is this, Laura?
This is the lion, the lyran. Very big guy. He didn't really have much hair. He was furry, but he didn't have like mane, okay?
Okay.
And lower from his nose down, it still had that lion look, but it was human look, a human like chin. I
So
tried my
almost like a hybrid between a human and a lion.
yes, yes. This being is huge. I mean, just a big stoic being, but very gentle, very gentle in
Awesome.
presence.
And image 7, please, Bill.
Oh yes. Now that was the one cat-like being, not on all fours. Neither one of those were on all fours. They were standing upright, almost human-like bodies, but covered with type of a fur or hair. And this one had stripes going down on the sides of its face. It's more prominent, elongated nose like a cat would have.
Mm.
And I got this impression these two were working together that evening. They were working together. This is a female also that I've got an impression of.
Did you feel like they were the same species, just one male, one
They
female?
they were. I did feel like that.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Bill, would you mind bringing up image 8 for us?
Oh yes.
So I
Let me
don't know if anybody can recognize that, but that is me. That is me when my hair was a little lighter. And can you describe what you're seeing behind me, other than the galaxy
okay.
lighting and the Star Wars toys on the shelves?
All right. Well, that is exactly where you are right now. When you have your device and on the ceiling, everyone is this thing he has where it glows and it turns colors like that. But when I see entities with Rupert, now how I see it is not with my eyes, my physical eyes. It's in my mind. It's like an impression of energy now. Okay. I don't get a physical impression of a face or even of the nature of the entities. Okay. But the two grayish looking entities, if you look closely, it's as though they have kind of like a smoke edge coming from behind them.
Mhm.
This is them actually walking through the walls, coming through, generating the energy coming through the walls. And they have their hands on your the sides pretty much of your head. One's a little bit taller than the other. I'm not sure if they're male or female. And the one on the lower side of your left side in the picture is a spirit. It's not how can I put it? Not an extra-terrestrial. This is a
Okay.
spirit, okay? Now, and that's what I was seeing. The spirit was more of a light, kind of a light, and very small. Now, I don't know about whether it was male or female, or even if it was a child because it was small. I just know that that spirit was playful and was playing around your chair that evening, kept going back and forth that evening. And it impressed me so much. And I said, I've got to try to draw this to the best that I can, just to give you an understanding of how I'm seeing what I'm seeing.
That is good. I actually hadn't noticed that other being right next to me down there before, in the picture. That's really cool. And so those two alien entities were touching my head.
Yes.
Did you get a sense for what they were doing?
They were protecting you. They were also working on you.
And what do you mean by working on me?
How can I put this? They are expanding your abilities. They're altering you for the mission.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can explain it.
Yeah. And a lot of people have seen that happening. A lot of people have seen beings around me, placing their hands on my head, on my forehead, um, and enhancing me, altering
Yes,
me.
enhancing you. That's a good word.
And I can feel it sometimes when it's happening. I get little twitches in my forehead muscles, in my eyebrow muscles. I feel the presence of being touched there. And it is, I think what is happening is they are enhancing me in a few different ways. But one of the ways is as a healer. I feel like when I am putting healing energy through people, it's really doing something. Um, and also as a connector of people, when we do our astral projection, I feel I reach out my spirit and I take hold of everybody's hands and I bring everybody along with us, with me, where we're going to. Um, that's another thing they're helping me with. But in general, I think fundamentally why they're doing what they're doing is because of my vision, universal peace, universal love, universal happiness. It's easy to say, but it's how I actually live my life as well. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time, but they see that in my core, that is really sincerely, genuinely what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to give people opportunities um, to go with me, to move into the future in this direction. Um, and if Bill, maybe you wouldn't mind showing the final image. This is what it's like, at least your artistic representation of what it's like sometimes when we do all get together and hold hands spiritually and astrally project and try and bring peace and love to the universe. Would you like to explain what's in that picture for us, Laura?
Yeah, yes. At the bottom, that is the representation of me at the very bottom of the picture. Me, I am meditating. And as I'm meditating, I literally go through what is called the Karitha. And this is, which is the yellow, the pink, and the purple looks like a haze or clouds. And we literally go through that. I try to give as much a good depiction of it as I could possibly give. And as we further go through it, we're actually holding hands and we are flying, like just flying through space. And every now and then, yeah, I will see like an entity that you see right here on the left of the picture. Is an image of a gray. Now, in the forehead is a triangle. That triangle is an image that it's one of many images that I'm constantly being shown. So I had put that in there because it represents them somehow. It's a part of this process.
Mm-hmm.
And the two beings on the side are a representation of the other people that are with us as we hold hands. And just we're trying to heal the planet. This picture was the day that we were doing galactic peace and we're manifesting love for Earth and trying to heal Earth. And this picture represents how what I experience when I do this with the group.
That is fantastic. Bill, thank you. We're all finished with the pictures. Bill, if you want to, go away and take a nap for an hour because we don't have any other pictures to show and we're just going to keep on talking. I appreciate all of your assistance with those pictures. I would like to let people know who are watching, we're on a mission, and Laura described it as a mission. We, and this is something that I'm sure followers of Andrea get a lot. we are living on a planet that has problems, big problems, significant problems, and it's good to be positive, but that's different to sticking our heads in the sand. And we do not stick our heads in the sand, and Andrea doesn't, I don't, Laura doesn't, and this world has some big problems that we're facing, and our response to those problems is we are going to be a powerful source of love, light, peace in this world, in this universe, and to go and try and combat those problems, not with violence or aggression or darkness, but with light, with love, with kindness and consideration and happiness. You can't combat darkness with darkness. But if you bring light to a dark region, it has a very powerful effect. So we're on this mission, and but we're just like 2 or 3 people. We need to build a large community of people who are with us. We need to turn this remote viewing group that goes to the Galactic Council every week from a group of about 10 to about 100 to about 1,000. So I'm going to say to everybody watching, if the things that I'm saying are resonating with you, if you would like to be actively involved in what we're doing, then please send me an email at rupertcontactguy@gmail.com. rupertcontactguy@gmail.com. Or just join our Galactic Wisdom Facebook group. Send me a message. But send me a message, because every single additional person we can get on the right side is going to really be a force for good in this universe. And I will, if people email me or contact me on in our Facebook group, then I will just send you a few links to how you can get involved if you would like. Would you recommend, Laura, our group for social reasons or for any other reasons other than just the peace, love, and happiness thing that we're doing also?
I would recommend it for educational reasons, because it's such a diverse group, and that's what's unique about this. We're accepting one another for our differences, no matter what. Definitely, I would recommend them taking a chance and seeing what's going on. It's worth it. It's worth it. Be open-minded, and I always recommend be skeptical. Be skeptical.
That's a good combination. Being open-minded but skeptical. That's a good combination. And with that in mind, I'm going to start talking about life after death.
Awesome.
And I've got quite a big, essentially, a lecture that I'm going to give on life after death from the perspective of me as an individual. And me as an individual, I'm a space scientist, I'm a logician, but I'm also an alien contact specialist. I'm also a paranormal investigator. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk in chunks of about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to see if Laura wants to add anything, chip in to anything that I'm saying. I'd like to start off by saying life after death. This is a controversial subject. We're dealing with big questions that really, really matter to a lot of people. Traditionally, this subject is addressed by religions, and a lot of people really deeply care about their religious beliefs. This subject, life after death, touches on beliefs that really define many people's entire lives. So I understand that people are passionate and really emotionally invested, emotionally, mentally invested in their beliefs. Unfortunately, when anybody starts talking about beliefs this big, It's easy for people when they hear beliefs that are contrary to their own, it's easy for people to feel a little bit irritated or annoyed or offended. And often even that can lead to aggression or conflict or friction or violence. One of the big messages that both myself and Andrea really want to give to people who listen to us is that it's okay for us to have different beliefs if we can still live in peace with each other, if we can still get along with each other in a harmonious way. We don't need to try and force people to believe the same things we believe. What is wise is to understand that we're never going to change everybody's beliefs on the planet, but perhaps we might be able to live in peace with each other. So I would like to make it very clear when I give my little presentation here. I really, really don't want to annoy anybody, upset anybody, offend anybody. I really do always try very hard to be respectful about everybody's beliefs. But at the same time, I'm going to say what I think is true. And I think that I'm not alone in having a conviction that the truth really does matter. The truth is important. I know that many people prefer the idea of finding out actual truths about reality than simply adopting beliefs that other people have given to them. So today, I'm not really going to talk about beliefs. I'm going to talk about what is the evidence that is available to us for life after death, and how strong is that evidence, and can we conclude anything from that evidence? But at all times, did your light just turn on again,
Yes.
magically by itself?
Security came and helped me. Thank you. I've been sitting in the dark forever. Thank you.
Let there
I'm
be
sorry,
light.
Rupert.
That's good. We're going to shine a light on
That's
the
right.
afterlife. So yeah, let's put peace above everything else. Let's get along with each other, even though we have different beliefs. Let's all remain polite and respectful to each other. I'm going to start with the question, is there life after death? What do you think the answer to that question is, Laura?
Absolutely, yes.
I am going to agree. There we go. There's our starting point. That's our starting point. We both, I would say, I know there's life after death. But what is the evidence? And but what is the evidence? Well, let's start off by talking about near-death experiences. A lot of people get close to death, and in their minds, in their consciousnesses, they have out-of-the-body experiences where they, first of all, they're coming out of their bodies, which is proof in itself, or evidence in itself of some kind of a spiritual body and spiritual consciousness that is separate from our biological consciousnesses. But often they will go to realms where they're greeted by family, friends, they get different psychic or spiritual feelings and impressions. And these experiences sometimes happen when somebody actually properly dies. And after a few minutes, perhaps, sometimes they're brought back to life and then they come back into their bodies. Or sometimes they're not, their body doesn't fully die, but they're close enough to death that they have these near-death experiences. And the important thing to understand here is that what people are experiencing is not a turning off of consciousness and then a turning back on of consciousness. When they died, they don't experience a turning off of consciousness. When they're brought back to life, they don't experience a turning back on of consciousness. What they're experiencing is a continuity of consciousness. And that is a very important piece of evidence. Hey, Laura, is the sound of my neighbor cutting down trees, is that coming through on my mic?
No.
It isn't?
No.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
Okay, good. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Bill has told me the same thing. I was going to go and close the window if I needed to. Laura, do you have anything to add to that? Have you ever had anything like an out-of-the-body or near-death experience?
I have not, but I have experienced relatives passing, and I I can't say that I saw them with my eyes, but in my head, and I knew they were right there with me, and I started talking to them. For example, when my grandmother had passed, we knew she was going to pass, but we just didn't know exactly when. Uh, and I'm in the kitchen doing the dishes, and all of a sudden, I just felt grandma's right here. Grandma's right here. And I looked around and I finally said, Grandma, um, I just love you so much. I just want you to know that growing up at your home and on Rich Neck, everything was just wonderful. And I just kept on and on. And then the feeling of her went away. My phone rings, and it was my mother telling me, Grammy, they called her, just passed.
Yeah. That's very common, isn't it?
Yes.
A lot of people experience that. In my own family stories, there is a story of an aunt of my mother's, probably, I don't know, 50 years ago, who she was used to walk around the side of their house to go to the front door and give this little rap on the window, the kitchen window, on her way to the front door. And it used to annoy my grandmother. And this happened one time, this rap on the window, and they thought, oh, that's strange. We weren't expecting this aunt to be here, but they went to the door and nobody was there. And then they discovered she's just died.
Oh, wow.
And that sort of experience happens a lot. There's a strong piece of evidence.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've had a misfortunate to have to put down a beautiful dog that I had. He was a German Shepherd. His name was Zeus, and he just couldn't. He got the spinal issue, and he was going on himself constantly, and he couldn't walk. And I dealt with it for a year trying to help him get through it, but it was really bad, and I had to put him down.
Mm-hmm.
That oh, just even thinking about it, it was just so hard.
Yeah.
But and what was strange is I could hear that dog talk. I could hear his thoughts. I've always was able to hear his thoughts. I do that sometimes with animals. I can hear their thoughts. And after he had passed, the next morning, in between waking up and sleep, that in between state, excuse me,
It's an emotional thing, isn't it, with dogs? I have my dog visit me sometimes in the night, and they're such beautiful, beautiful beings. I
yes,
completely understand.
yes. I'm gonna try to hold it together. um, I remember he was never allowed on the bed. He was never allowed on the bed because he was just so big. I kind of opened up my eyes and realized I'm in that state of trying to wake up. And then I looked at the foot of the bed, and there was Zeus. He slowly, real slow, climbed up onto the bed. His head was huge. He was just healthy looking. He was just enormously, just huge, like gloriously healthy. And he slowly crawled up to me, and I'm going, is this real? I'm questioning everything. And then I could hear his, what I call mental voice.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, it's okay. I'm okay. It's me. And what I always do with my animals, and I even do it with my grandchildren, my kids, is when I love on them a lot, I love on them. And then I put my forehead to their forehead and I just hold it there and I'll look up to see their eyes closed. And he placed his forehead onto my forehead, which gave me full confirmation that that was Zeus.
Yeah.
He had come to tell me that although what happened, it was okay. And he was okay.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes.
That is beautiful. And The fact that we see animals as well, that's another very important piece of evidence about spirits and the afterlife.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that story, Laura. I appreciate that. Another piece of evidence for life after death is that many living humans frequently have easily verifiable psychic contact with dead humans. Mediums, for example. Now, I personally have received information from beyond the grave when I have connected with mediums. I asked a medium probably about 10, 15 years ago to help me with my family ancestry, and my mother was present, and we connected with my mother's mother, my grandmother. And I came in with the skepticism, and I said, is there something that some piece of information you can get from my grandmother to verify that it's her that we're talking to? And we were given a date, and that date was my mother's birthday. Simple things like that. And we did not give that medium enough information for them to go away and research us and learn dates and things like that. I also recommend people check out one of my favorite paranormal TV shows. It's a little bit old now, but it's still very good. Psychic Kids with Chip Coffey. I think Chip has been on this show actually in the past.
Yes.
But that is a good show, and that will give people real evidence of children who are seeing spirits around the house, and you follow the experiences of these children and their discovery of who these beings are that they're connecting with. Not just mediums, but also regular people who are psychic will often see, will occasionally see spirits of dead people. There are a lot of psychics that I have in my groups who see spirits around, probably a lot of people watching here. And this happens so frequently, it's very common. And the information that is received through those contacts shows us that there is some kind of a real experience going on. So those are very important pieces of evidence. I was hosting an event one time in Texas, I think it was. I was hosting an alien contact event in Texas. And we were holding hands in a circle, the group of us outside, and reaching out to aliens. And I kept having an image put in front of me psychically of an embossed star, a piece of leather with a star embossed in the leather. And a little bit like how you were describing earlier on, Laura, I wasn't sure if this was imagination, and I tried to push it away. I tried to move past it, but nope, that's staying, that's there. And that's very strong evidence that it's real. And so I just stopped the meeting and I said, hey, listen, I'm seeing this image of a piece of leather with an embossed star on it. Does anybody understand what that means? Because it's coming through quite strong. And one lady in the group, she started crying, and she said, yes, I know exactly what that is. You're seeing my pregnancy diary. And the child that I had passed away.
Wow.
And it was a very powerful and emotional moment where the conclusion was that we both reached was, this child is here, and they are letting this woman know, we're with you, Mum. And it was very powerful and it was very strong. And that's the sort of that sort of story is widespread among our community, upon around the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And another piece of evidence I've got on my list here, which is what you just described, when people sleep, they often see their ancestors and their pets. And people, I think, can tell if it's just a regular dream or if it's more meaningful.
I agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that. I can't really describe how, but I agree, because I certainly experienced that. I know the difference.
Yes, absolutely. Another piece of evidence of life after death, with spirits contacting us, is sleep paralysis. Now, I've had sleep paralysis probably hundreds of times. Have you ever had that, Laura?
Oh, yes. Yes. And I thought I was going crazy. If you don't mind, one time I was asleep and I actually abruptly got woken up. However, from here all the way down, I absolutely could not move. The only thing I could move was my head back and forth. And when I looked over, like I'm doing that. And I looked over at my husband and he's sound asleep. He's snoring away, no problem, but he wasn't moving. And I noticed the room was illuminated, very bright, very like bluish, bright illumination. And so I turned my head and looked, and there was the being that I described that was glowing, was floating over top of me. And it started to back away because I went like that. And as it started to back away from me, I turned my head like this, like, is this real? And it was as though it had mimicked me. And I'm thinking, okay, is this really real? And then all of a sudden, right behind it, another head popped up in a body with the body. And then as I looked, a tall white come through the corridor. And then they all three left. And as they left, the room became dark. And then I could move again.
Wow, that's very cool.
I told my husband, hey, did you not see? No, I'm asleep.
Yeah. And that is a very typical and common experience. It's so common. When I ask the question in my meetings, raise your hand if you've ever had sleep paralysis. It's at least 20% of people, maybe 30% of people typically who say yes. It's very common. And what it is, even though there is, scientifically, there's a medical explanation that doctors give. I've heard that explanation. I've looked at it. I don't buy it. I mean, they might be right to some extent. When we sleep, our body paralyzes itself so we don't act out our dreams. But I've had sleep paralysis enough to know there's something more going on here. There is an entity that is coming in to connect with you. Now, it can be an alien entity, it can be non-human, or it can be a human entity. I have had mostly human entities come to me when I get sleep paralysis, and most of the time they're very good, nice spirits. I've had maybe 2 occasions where it was a not so nice spirit, and that doesn't feel very nice at all, but most of the time it's very good. But you can push them away, just fill your body with light and love. But I think a lot of people who get sleep paralysis, because it puts you in at a disadvantage, because it puts you in a state of not being able to move, it can be interpreted as a negative or hostile act. But 99% of the time, it actually isn't. It's just what they need to do in order to communicate with you, to connect with you.
I agree with you on that.
There's also, when spirits are around, there's often physical evidence of the presence of these spirits. Electromagnetic fluctuations, for example. Sometimes people smell the presence of loved ones around them, whether that's a cigarette smell or a floral smell, but there are these smells associated with people. Sounds, sometimes moving objects. I know about moving objects because I have moving objects around me all the time.
Yes, you do.
I'm not going to put this back on the ceiling because
I wouldn't.
last time I was on this show, this fell down and nearly knocked me out. So yeah, moving objects, all evidence of spiritual activity. And of course, you can go and do paranormal investigations. And a lot of people who are guests on this show and also my show, Galactic Wisdom, we have guests coming on who are paranormal investigators. Have you ever done anything like paranormal investigations, Laura?
Yes, I have. We have a place called Boxwood Inn, It is old Civil War. Mr. Carter ran the Lee Hall train station, and his home he utilized for R&R for the Fort Eustis soldiers. He also conducted the mill, and he also was a banker. And in the Boxwood Inn, they have objects moving all the time. They hear sounds all the time. And so my husband had surprised me on Halloween a few years back, bought a ticket for me and my daughter to go and participate in this. And here's what happened before we went. We're standing in her kitchen, and she's like right here, and I'm right here, and we're just gabbing. We're excited. We're getting ready to go and do this event. And then all of a sudden, this flash right between us. What I saw looked like a very bright light structure. What she saw was dark in nature structure. And it went right in between us. And we both, did you see that? And I felt like, hey, they know we're coming. They know we're coming. And when we got there, we experienced in one of the rooms where we went into, the owner of Boxwood Inn did not reveal all the information. So when we went into this particular room, as I even crossed the threshold of this room, my breath was taken away with me. The atmosphere became extremely heavy. I had a hard time breathing. And the host that was doing the paranormal event, I looked at him and said, do you not feel that? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's real heavy and stiff in the room. And so we went into the room, and my daughter picked up on, and quite a other few people picked up on, a little girl in the room, presently in the room. So when we went downstairs, we got to share all of our experience before we went to the second phase of it. And we described what we were experiencing in this room and describing this little girl. And the owner gets up and comes out and goes, I never said anything about this. This is incredible. Yes, there is a little girl here. So that was one of my first ever experiences doing something of that nature.
That's a very cool story. Awesome. Now, the next thing that I'd like to cover is, where are spirits? And I've worked out, and probably a lot of other people have, that spirits are in extra-dimensional space. They're extra-dimensional. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means. What does extra-dimensional mean? Well, dimensions are directions. So, for example, a one-dimensional object or realm is like a single straight line with a forwards and backwards, or a left to right, but it's one dimension. A two-dimensional object or realm is like an area or a surface, like a piece of paper or the surface of some water. It has two dimensions, like the X and Y on a graph. The second dimension is not a place, it's a direction. It's a perpendicular direction from the other dimension. A three-dimensional object, a 3D object, has volume, it has space, like a box or a shaky bottle.
I get you, Rupert.
3 dimensions like this. Can you all do that? Can you do that, Laura? Pointing fingers and thumbs in 3 different directions at the same time? No, she can't do it. Never mind. That's okay. I thought, being like a martial artist, you would have good, like, what's the word? Kinesthetic skills or something, but obviously not. That's okay. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that later. I should teach you a kata that has 3 dimensions in it like that.
Yes, you should.
Okay, so X, Y, and Z, or if you're American, X, Y, and Z. Now, the third dimension is not a place, it's a direction, perpendicular to the other 2 dimensions. Similarly, the fourth dimension, the fourth spatial dimension, I'm not talking about temporal dimensions, I'm talking about spatial dimensions. The fourth spatial dimension isn't a place, it's a direction. and I can't point in that direction because I am presently in three-dimensional space and I can't physically point in that fourth direction, but it's every single point in our three-dimensional world and universe has this extra dimension in it. We're just not perceiving it right now. The fourth dimension is not a place, it's a direction. The same with the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is a direction, it's not a place. So I need to sort of state that up front so people understand the vocabulary that I'm using. People often have a misconception that the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension it's somewhere over there, but it's separated from us. No, these dimensions are all around us, and all we need to do to access them is, well, astrally project or open yourself up spiritually, or die and go out into these. I don't recommend that one though.
No.
Before you need to. But yeah, they're very, very close. They're touching us. We're in that space, in fact. Now, our spirits are extra dimensional. We have spirits in us right now, but our spirits protrude outwards from us in all directions, extra dimensionally. And most people cannot see those, but some people can. Some people can see auras. Some people can astrally project through these dimensions or remote view them, remote communicate with beings who are in these extra dimensions. We can use knowledge of our extra dimensional spirits to spiritually heal. Kirlian photography, which is several decades old now, but that seems to be very good evidence for being able to photograph spirits. I once went to my lab technician when I was working in a lab and gave him the instructions for building a Kirlian photography camera, and he looked at me and said, "No, that's too dangerous because the voltages required are huge. So it's not something simple and easy that people can go out and buy." Now, this concept of extra dimensional space, as a scientist, I can tell you, it's not just some weird fantasy or sci-fi concept that somebody has thought up. These are real scientific theories. I'm going to say theories, not knowledge yet, but theories that there are these extra dimensional spaces out there. We have a lot of knowledge about things we don't know in the universe, like dark energy and dark matter, the asymmetry of matter and antimatter. There's a lot of missing antimatter in the universe, and scientists don't seem to know where this is. People experimenting in particle accelerators like at CERN, they're trying to figure out what's going on with these extra dimensions. And so it's a respectable and respected scientific theory that we have these extra dimensions of space around us. Now, science may not understand all these dimensions fully right now, but as spiritual people, you and I, certainly I know that I've been able to prove that these extra dimensions are real and around us because of the experiences that we have in these spiritual realms. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what are spirits. Now, in three-dimensional space, we know there is matter. Everything around me, whether it's a pen or a LoRa quieting device, everything around us is made of matter. There's 118 different elements that we know about presently: hydrogen, helium. I could go through the periodic table here: Ha-Ha, Libeb, Knopfner, Namgal, Sipsklar, but I won't bore people by being able to say the periodic table. This is matter that we know about. What people generally often don't know about is that in extra dimensional spaces, there's also the equivalent of matter, but not matter. It's spiritual matter. It's extra dimensional matter. It is called corether, C-O-R ether, E-T-H-E-R. Do you like my American accent? Ether.
I do.
So
Do
like
I need to talk like you?
when I tell people my name in America, I have to say Rupert, because if I say Rupert, they don't get it. They think I'm saying Robert or something. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to criticize people. I'm just finding the humor in everyday life. But yes, we have this corether, and you've talked about this already in this show, and you drew that picture that had the was it pink and blue swirls? Is that how you see it?
Pink and kind of purple and just swirled yellow. Yeah, that's exactly how I see it.
Fantastic. So there is that around us. There's like an atmosphere of this corether in extra-dimensional space, and it is the stuff that spirits are made out of. Our spirits are made out of it. The spirits of dogs, of all animals, all living things have spiritual components that are made out of this corether. It could be in the future we discover this corether is actually antimatter, because we don't know where the antimatter in the universe has gone. It could be that it's all in extra-dimensional space. I don't know, but we're calling it corether for now. And one really interesting thing about corether is that there's an attractive force, an interdimensional attractive force between the physical matter and spiritual matter. Our spirits feel an attractive force to our biological bodies. As a scientist who understands things like Newton's laws of motion, which tell us that things keep traveling in a straight line unless there's a force put upon them. Well, if our spirits kept traveling in a straight line while our planet orbited around the sun, we would be saying goodbye to our spirits off there in the universe. They stay with us as we walk around the room, as we get in our car and drive away. That's very important for living things, that our spirits stay with us, and that indicates that there's an attractive force between us. And that's really important to know that, because, well, in a lot of different situations, but in one situation in particular, in our healing sessions, because if let's say you've got a crooked spine, and well, straightening my spine might require surgery, like physical surgery. But no, perhaps not, because if you can go in there with your spiritual body and straighten your spiritual body simply using spiritual healing techniques and the power of our minds, which we have the ability to do, then that straightening of the spiritual spine, coupled with the attractive force between the straight spiritual spine and the crooked biological spine, that attractive force can start to repair your biological body. And I actually every Sunday, I host spiritual healing sessions where we utilize things like that. Laura, have you ever been to our spiritual healing sessions?
No, unfortunately, I have not. I would love to attend one, but no, I have not.
Yeah. Okay, no worries. I get people coming to my healing sessions all the time and then sending me images of, like, this is my before picture of something that is not well, and this is my after picture. And it's like, wow, did that tumor just suddenly disappear? That's crazy. That sort of thing happens quite a lot. And of course, we can answer the question, what else has spirits? Do animals have spirits? Yes, animals have spirits, just like we do. Because we can connect with these spirits after they've died, with animal spirits. Do aliens have spirits? Yes. There are biological aliens around us, around this solar system. But we also connect with real ETs, really extraterrestrial, extrasolar, possibly even extragalactic entities who travel to us spiritually. And we travel to spiritually, and that some of those, those are spirits of aliens, some of them. So then people ask me, well, do plants have spirits? Do inanimate objects like this pen have spirits? And what I will tell people is, well, there is an attractive force between the biological and the spiritual. And so, yes, there's spiritual matter that is drawn into, like a physical pen. And so if you could take a step out and look at this pen from extra-dimensional space, you would see a spirit pen. Does that mean it's conscious? No. Just like this plastic pen in real life is not conscious, it's not aware of itself, it's not a living being. So, you know, that this is a more sort of logical, scientific style analysis of, well, here's the evidence, what can we conclude from this? And that ability is actually fairly new to us as a human species. Over 400,000 years of existence, our species has only just got to the stage where we are really using logic properly to be able to create things like plastic, to be able to create things like cell phones and computers and space shuttles and, you know, so forth. So this is all new to us, and it doesn't come easy for a lot of people, but we can use logic to shine light on the spirit realm in a very powerful way now. Do you want to add anything in there to anything I've just said, Laura?
I'm going to go back to what you were saying about our spirit is like there's a force connecting our biological and our spirit body. Okay. So when we do remote viewing and say we went to the craft, I know I have a body back. I can literally feel it. It's hard to explain, but when I go to return, I know it's like a beeline straight there. Now, I know what you're saying is factual because I could feel the tug, the pull to go back to my body. Just like it's not a resistance, or I'm not trying to float anywhere else unless I want to go somewhere else. I immediately know where my body's at and I can get right there to it.
Absolutely. And in the past, sometimes people have described it as like a spiritual tether. And of course, tethers have a force of tension within them, pulling on you. But whatever it is, there is definitely this force between our spiritual matter and our biological matter.
Absolutely.
So where do spirits come from? Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit controversial, and I know that I am going to go against some people's beliefs here. And again, I apologize. I don't want to offend people, but I'm going to share with you now the model of that I have been able to deduce, to formulate, of where spirits come from. And before I really go into this model, let's talk about an important observation about the spirits that we see. It's very telling that the spirits that we see almost always match the biological bodies that they came from. When we see the spirits of dogs, they look like dogs. They don't look like a human person spirit who was reincarnated into that dog and now has been released and there's a human spirit. We see a dog spirit. When we see the spirits of babies, they look like babies. They look like biological babies, just spiritual. They don't look like an adult spirit who has been reincarnated, who was reincarnated into the baby at some stage and now their adult body has popped out of. They're a baby spirit. Physical imperfections that existed when a person was alive are often seen in their spiritual bodies as well, sometimes even felt, like a person with a limp or a pain in their knee or something like that, are often seen in the spirits. There is a matching of the spiritual body with the biological body. Now, this evidence, and lots of other evidence, suggests that the spirit actually grows with the biological body. So what we're getting is, if you can imagine any organism, whether it's a plant or a caterpillar or a human, in the embryonic stages where you've got these biological molecules coming in and building up the organelles that build up the cells, that build up the tissues, when all of these molecules are coming in and combining together, you've also got the spiritual equivalent of molecules being drawn in and forming in extra-dimensional space a spiritual structure around the biological structure. And so we are forming almost an exact copy of the biological body, but in spiritual or with corporeal substance. That is why our spirits, when we see them, look like us. That is when we heal our spirits, we perceive, if we're trying to heal a biological finger, we can perceive healing a spiritual finger in order to help heal the biological finger. The spiritual matter is intricately interwoven into our biological forms. And this is really important because probably the main reason why this is important is because our biological brains form, as they grow and develop, a spiritual brain with the same complex structure that is able to house our consciousnesses, our character, our memories, who we are. And when our biological body dies and all our spiritual body needs to do is break free from the biological body, and we can continue to exist spiritually, the same people with the same consciousness. This is not like Star Trek, where you have the transporter make a replica of the person. You kill one person by taking apart all their molecules, and you build a replica of the person, which everybody pretends is the same person because they've got a copy of the same feelings and emotions, and etc. This is the same person when you die. It's the same person who dies who continues to exist. All of this matches together. This fits together like a perfect jigsaw puzzle, and it helps to explain how things exist, how life continues after death. What is consciousness? I'm talking about consciousness. What is it? How does it form? Well, consciousness or sentience is being aware of oneself, being aware of one's environment. This goes beyond merely sensing and reacting to senses. So, for example, this cell phone, can react to me touching it. I push a button, the light turns on, that sort of thing. I push another button and it seems to talk louder to me or less loud. I can push a button or touch the screen in a certain way and it can let me sleep. It can be quiet. It can even move and vibrate and stuff like that if I want it to. That all is reacting to sensory inputs, which you can see lots of examples of this happening around us, like our monitors, like our computers, but they're not conscious. They're not self-aware. It takes a huge amount of complex structure to be complex enough to hold consciousness, to be aware of oneself. We are aware of ourselves, at least I am. Are you, Laura?
Oh, I am so aware of myself.
Good. I'm happy about that. I typically only invite sentient, conscious beings onto my shows.
I would hope so.
So, where is this consciousness housed? Well, it's housed in our brain. That is the structure that is required in a human to have a human consciousness. If we injure our fingers, if our finger gets severed from our body, that would be very sad, but it wouldn't affect who we are as an individual. It wouldn't affect our consciousness. We could injure, damage, lose parts of our body all over. We'd still be the same person unless you start messing with the head, unless you start messing with the brain. We have thousands of years of knowledge. Hey, Ruth, thank you for being here. I saw your comment pop up. I will now accept your friend request because I know who you are. Sorry. Okay. Right. I've completely lost my train of thought now. Okay. Consciousness. We've got tens of thousands of years of messing with the brain of people, of brain damage, of injury, and knowledge about how that affects our consciousness. And so we know that's where the consciousness lies. So this is important because we know that it is this brain that houses the consciousness, and we know we have a spiritual brain. And we know, therefore, that when we're projecting our astral body, our consciousness to other places, we actually have some kind of understanding of what is actually happening, what is being projected. I could talk a lot more about consciousness. I know there's a lot of implications on what has consciousness and what doesn't, whether we're part of a group consciousness, but I've been talking quite a lot, so I'm going to let you chip in if you want to, Laura.
Sure. I'm going to talk about consciousness. That is something that we do in our meditation. We see, and this is at the school, in our martial arts, we focus on our action, what we're trying to work on, and we use your consciousness to see it happening. You see it happening. And then eventually it comes out on the physical side of it. Also for manifestation. How you think, your consciousness, the way you word, your words, very powerful, very powerful. And they can manifest with the thought, the consciousness, what you desire, things you want to change. I'm going to give you an example. I've been thinking and consciously thinking, I want one day to be on a world awakening. Here I am.
You manifested it.
I manifest it through my consciousness. Yes, sir. And it's important to practice this. It takes practice because you have monkey brain. That's what we call it, monkey brain, where all these thoughts are coming in. You're thinking about something else, and then something else comes in, but you need to bring the focus forward. How do you do that? Practice. As soon as the wrong thought that's coming in to try to erase what you're trying to make a goal for, you have to stop the thought and immediately redirect that conscious process, that thought, in place, and you have to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And trust me, I don't have a grip on it. I think it's going to be a life practice for me. Trust me, my brain will go monkey brain. I'll start thinking, I should have done that. Oh my goodness, I forgot about this. I wonder what's happening. Oh, and I'm just like going, and I have to stop and refocus what I want to do. And sometimes to try to get a good practice of it, only do a little bit at a time. Don't try to sit down for 15, 20 minutes and, no, you just think it, speak it, try to apply it, and move on and keep repeating the process. And that's how it works.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the power of consciousness. Yes. Consciousness can affect our reality in a manifestive way.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I teach. That's some of the skills that people can learn. And there is a logical mechanism involved in manifestation, which we utilize when we try and manifest things like world peace.
Yes.
And to have that understanding when we're trying to apply spiritual techniques is valuable, because it means that you can focus on techniques that actually mean something, that actually work, rather than just fumbling around in the dark.
Correct.
So that's very cool. I'm going to try and finish off the last section of my little presentation here on life after death with, where do we go after we die? Well, we know that a lot of people that experience have near-death experiences, they seem to go through some kind of a tunnel often, or move towards a light area through a dark region. I call that tunnel the transition tunnel. And what I think, this is a theory, I don't know this to be true, but what I think is probably happening is our three-dimensional perceptions are expanding into extra-dimensional perceptions. Where do we receive this extra-dimensional sensory input? It comes in around the edges, it pushes in the three-dimensional perceptions into the middle, and you end up feeling like there's some kind of a tunnel effect going on. That's a theory.
That's actually good theory. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. What you just described. Yes.
Good. Thank you. And then people are invariably met by family and friends when they get to the spirit realm. This is almost every time you will hear this. They're met by family and friends. The spirits of people who have passed away, they have trans-temporal capabilities because they're spiritual bodies. They don't have mass, so they can travel beyond the speed of light, so they can time travel, essentially. E = mc squared. They're not bound by that equation, and they are able to know when their loved ones are going to die, because it's there on the timeline right now. In the future, they can see it. And so they will be there waiting for you. And that is what happens. And there is a strong feeling of love, more powerful love often than people are used to feeling on this planet, because your spiritual senses open up and you become spiritually empathic. And so you actually feel their love in a tangible sensory way, rather than just through what people say and through body language. Candice says she didn't have a tunnel when she must have had a near-death experience. Interesting. But it was a great expansive area. I couldn't see the ending of it. Yes. That sounds very cool. Thank you for sharing that, Candice, with us.
Yes, thank you, Candice.
What we find is that people don't end up in a heaven or hell. People end up with the same good characteristics, bad characteristics, the same flaws, the same faults, the same positive attributes, negative attributes. Wherever they end up, they're met by family and friends. They're always there, and they are introduced into, they're welcomed into that culture, into that family group, and they're taken into that family group. They're absorbed into, societally, in the spirit realm, different societal groups. Just like on our planet, we have different areas where different cultural and religious groups gather. That is also true in the spirit realm. If you are a Muslim, then you'll be met by your Muslim family and friends who have passed away. If you're Christian, you'll be met by the Christian family and friends who have passed away. You are just welcomed into the different areas of the spiritual realm. There is diversity there, just like there is in our world. The spirit realm is not reserved for one belief system. And that's not a belief of mine. That you can determine that from the evidence being that every culture across the planet witnesses the spirits of human beings who have passed away. And those encounters, those experiences are consistent in nature wherever you are on the planet. And then when you're in the spirit realm, you have to go through some kind of an education, a spiritual education, to how to maneuver and cope with extra-dimensional spaces. It's like being a baby in this world. You are born into the spirit realm, and you have a lot of learning to do. And there are laws and there are rules about these are things you can do, these are things you can't do, because otherwise, like on our planet, there would be anarchy unless you have certain societal rules. It might sound a bit sort of, well, that sounds a bit sort of, I don't know, terrestrial, the way I'm explaining it, but that's where the evidence leads us. Laura, would you like to add anything at all to what I've just said there?
I do have a question. You mentioned about more of an expanse of being in the spirit, I'll say spirit realm, an expanse of that. And that's related to time. And is time different, or like we keep time here? Basically, we developed keeping time because we wanted to be able to farm. We did it according to
Yeah.
the sun. And so that's why we kind of developed the time. Is that is that process there too? Would you know of that?
Um, yes, time is similar. It's comparable in the spirit realm. But being a spirit, you have the capability of traveling faster. You have the capability of accelerating huge speeds, and so that you can therefore have relativistic effects like time dilation, and you can time travel. You can travel through time. I don't know to what extent the different spiritual cultures permit time travel, because you can alter the timeline, and there are a lot of beings out there that are altering the timeline,
Mm.
and there are good beings trying to do it, and there are bad beings trying to do it. So time is an interesting thing, but I think when Candace was using the word, I think, but certainly when I was using the word expansive, I'm talking about physically expansive, like there really is. If you imagine the volume of the earth, spiritually, you can live inside the earth, you can live in the oceans, you can live in the atmosphere, you can, you don't have to live just in this thin film around the outside. But even if you did live in the thin film around the outside, every point on that surface has at least another whole dimension of space associated with it, and it projects into directions that are very hard for us to even comprehend. So, similarly to our spirits being extra dimensional, which means that basically our biological bodies are smaller than our spiritual bodies. Our biological bodies are inside our spiritual bodies rather than vice versa. If you imagine that every point on the earth has a whole another direction associated with it, we've got a lot of space in the spirit realm. I don't know if you can buy houses, but if you can, you can buy mansions with huge areas of land, or areas of spiritual land. Anyway, we are approaching the end of this session. We have 1 minute left.
Oh, wow.
Laura, I would like to thank you so much for being here. You've been awesome.
Thank you. Oh my God, it went by quick for me.
2
And we
hours.
got through even with all the weird lights and everything going on. This was an honor. I want to say thank you, Andrea. And I hope you have a good, well rest. And thank you, Rupert. This has been a pleasure. And to everyone, much love.
Definitely. And I would like to send Andrea and her family love and best wishes. And I would ask that everybody that's watching maybe take a minute at some time in the rest of today to just close your eyes and reach out love and radiate love and healing to her and her family. Once again, I will say, if anybody wants to join me and Laura and our community and come on some of these adventures, astral projecting around the place, send me an email at Rupert contact Guy, Rupert contact Guy at gmail.com. Peace, love, and happiness to all of you. Take care. Goodbye for now.